G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. Standing on my driveway. If you have a look there over my shoulder, you can see there's a vehicle with a funny looking towing rig behind it. I think that's a vintage logging rig. It's a snigging trailer. And there's also half of the front end of a bulldozer's blade. That would be because the next door neighbour, the sheep farmer, has had a bulldozer making messes on his place for a couple of weeks. And out there in that little grove of trees at the moment, that's where the bulldozer has been pushing trees over and, quote, cleaning up the rubbish, unquote. So I just thought I'd come out here and make sure he wasn't making messes on my driveway. So far he's just driven across it twice. I can't stop him from doing that. Ideally, he won't try to push up my mud pit warning marker, which is what that collection of sticks directly between me and the white vehicle is. When the rain gauge overtops 6 inches out there, it's trap rock. You can drive on it once, but if you try to drive on it the second time, you're bogged flat to the belly pan. Might as well go for a bit of a walk, show you a closer view of what's going on over there. There be the bulldozer, pondering its next move, apparentarily, which it's now apparently figured out. Must have been a good year for sheep farming, despite the drought and everything else. Because apparently any money you spend on bulldozing is considered capital works, so it comes off your taxable income. I knew a sheep farmer once who bought land that had been operated by a mining company. They had a lot of dams on it. So he paid a bulldozer to run around and knock the walls out of the dams because he reckoned that there was too much country covered up by water. All right, we have cross-country bulldozers. Oh, I see what we're doing. He's pushing out the tea tree. Sheep farmers figure that if they can get rid of the tea tree, then they'll be able to grow grass underneath the tea tree, or where the tea tree was. Doesn't generally work that way. What happens is the tea tree was sticking deep roots down into the trap rock, and it was bringing up nutrients, and it was dropping leaves on the ground, and the tea tree was actually making topsoil in a place which really lost all of its topsoil in the 1860s due to what they called mass wasting, which was what happened when they ringbarked the country and overgrazed it and burnt it. I don't know what they charge per hour to run a bulldozer, probably around the $100, $120 mark. You can see in the background the smoke coming up from pile of dead trees that have been pushed up a couple of days ago and they're on fire now. So all of that soil down there in the gully, which has been stabilised by the roots of the vegetation, has all just been ripped up, literally bulldozed. And there goes a couple of trees. All for the benefit of the hard-footed land lice. Those little trees there have spent probably 20, 25 years, maybe as long as 50 years, given the soil and the conditions on this place, trying to regrow. Give you a comparison, those little trees there have taken 25 years to get to be that big. When I first came here, they weren't there at all. That's 25 years of eucalyptus regrowth in a sheep paddock. Every time this country tries to bounce back, the people who think they can man-age it to make it more productive, that means force more eggs to come out of the tube, more productive, they do shit like this. Look at the diesel fumes coming out of that bulldozer. Anyway, I did come down here wondering what was going on to make all the noise. Now I know. And would you believe that at the moment this sort of thing is perfectly, totally, 100% legal, and the National Party is whinging and whining and moaning and groaning and complaining about the allegedly restrictive Native Vegetation Act, and they want that act to be repealed. And they're even claiming that the fact that a redneck shot a government environmental officer out other side of Moree, that's not an indication that the rednecks need to be better police because they're behaving as political terrorists. That's supposed to be an indication that the law's too tough. Yet it allows this sort of shit. Bulldozer ballet amid the saplings in a friggin' gully, an erosion gully. Let's see how much topsoil we can disturb. Longer I look at it, the crankier I'm getting. So I guess I'd better just leave it at that. Go back up to the endangered species sanctuary and turn the radio up and try not to listen to the noises of my neighbour paying $120 an hour to have his topsoil sent to the bottom of the ocean. It'll finally finish up in the Great Australian Bight, because we're on the western side of the watershed, and that's where that topsoil's going to go next time it rains. And there's been some pretty interesting rains going on. On the weekend, they had some hailstorms out around the cotton country at Narrabri. According to the radio yesterday, people are coming in with armloads of wild birds killed by the hail. People have found wallabies and kangaroos killed by the hailstones. The bit that really surprised me was the stories of 2 horses killed by the hailstones. Global warming. It's bringing increasingly intense extreme weather events. I wonder how much longer people are going to be able to justify playing Tonka toys in bulldozers driving around attempting to, quote, clean up, unquote, the country. This place is supposed to be a forest. Once upon a time it was a food forest. $150 of European best practice broadacre agriculture, and it's not much of a food forest any longer. If you got yourself a traditional tribal aborigine and let him go here, unless he started spearing the sheep, he'd starve. Because now tableland rocks grow up faster than their moss because of modern petro-powered farming methods. I know we live in a free will universe and everybody is at perfect liberty to make all their own choices. But sometimes it's really, really irritating to have to stand around and watch people busting the landscape because they think it's going to help. And due to confirmation bias, the people who bust the landscape for a living don't pay any attention to the people who know that it's a silly idea. Every acre of regrowth forest locks up a tonne of carbon dioxide every year. And that fella's out there smashing down trees because he thinks it's going to make the land more productive. What more can I say? From the safety of the endangered species sanctuary. Look at the edge effect there, would you? Sanctuary, fence, sheep farm. Bulldozers on the sheep farm, no bulldozers on the sanctuary. Funny that. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.